All right, man, that's a tough act to follow. I think I got 2 minutes. You guys are like, okay, we've heard everything we need to hear to launch, right? You ever see that movie with Adam Sandler, Click, where he clicks ahead? I mean, I know so many of you are like, could we just click ahead to tomorrow and like get it on, because we know what is coming, right? But hopefully, my heart, I think everything your leader here, like our heart, why we are here, why we're still here, why we see into the future, is that we want to share our stories. We want to impact you. We want to deliver to you things that can make your life better. And I can't, it's amazing. We didn't talk before, but it was like they were just weaving all these fundamental truths of living a life by design. And I think that's the coolest thing of, Michelle said it, and then Margie said it, is, we have an amazing vehicle that is built all around a leadership factory. And I think if you stick in this environment, you stay, you get rooted, you're going to wake up and you're going to look back and go, man, look at who I have become. Because I know for myself, it's been an absolute journey. I started in this industry 21 years ago. It'll be 22 years in January. And just to think back of who I was at that time, and the title of my talk today is The Power of Persistence, Unlocking Your Success. And I think the number one thing that has powered me through is just I developed this persistent mindset. And so I want you to resonate on that I had to develop it. And the other thing I want you to know is, like, Wayne has not arrived. Like, go talk to my wife and she'll be like, yes, Wayne has not arrived. Like, Wayne has a lot of things to work on, right? And so, but here's the thing. I want to be humble. I want to be teachable. I want to be better. We have 8 kids. So there's a lot of things going on in our life. Talk about getting out of your comfort zone and having to be persistent. We do know how those kids are made, and we have fun doing it. So if you're wondering, it's a full life. We tell people, like, we have a full life by choice and by design. And we love every part of it. We were part of the Life by Design. Last summer, we actually went to Europe for 4 months, 4 days, 16 hours, and 23 minutes. Because when you're there with 6 kids, one of them being 3 years old, you actually count to the minutes when you land back in the United States. You're like, whoa. I have been on the persistence journey of my life. We went through, and I'll talk about that story in just a minute, but it's part of what you can do with this opportunity. This opportunity can unlock so much in your life if you're willing to push through where others just will stop. And I think that's the number one thing that I learned in this business. So, 21 years ago, I got started in a little nutrition business. What I didn't know is the year before, the founder had passed away. They took their number one product off the market. It was an ephedra product. And they also had another change of a CEO. And I joined, and I just thought it was 10 years old. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is the greatest thing ever. So again, like Margie was saying, I just had blinders on my purpose and where I could take my family. I was working as an IT consultant, traveling, working long hours. I saw the people ahead of me, and I was like, gosh, those guys' lives are nothing like I want my life to be. Like, I want to be around for my kids. I want to coach their teams. I want to be involved. I want to design my life around the family. And I saw that. And so even though the company I was with, it was kind of falling apart all around me, people were leaving, people were exiting, I was like, I don't even know why people are leaving. I'm just moving forward. I'm moving forward. And just the blinders were on. And I even remember we were on this Alaska cruise. And 2 weeks before we went on this Alaska cruise, they actually fired a CEO again. We went through like 4 CEOs in this time when I was starting in the business. And I just was like, is this what happens in these companies? And I literally had the mindset, and it was just this persistent mindset. And my friend Shelly's back there. She was all a part of it too, because she was there even longer than me. But I just said, as long as they ship us product and pay us, that's all I need. I just whittled it down to the absolute basics. So sometimes when I think of like all the things that Modere does for us, I'm just like, man, you guys, we have everything beyond everything, beyond everything, beyond everything. Because at the end of the day, if they just deliver us world-class products that they're doing, and they pay us daily pay, I mean, we are absolutely set. So I just want to share some things around unlocking a persistent mindset. And when I think about this image, it's really like John Maxwell says, everything you want in life is really uphill. And when I hear that, I remember hearing that from John Maxwell, and I was like, well, that doesn't sound like any fun. Like, everything I want is uphill. And I think I heard that because the first meeting I went to, John Maxwell actually spoke back when I first got started in this business, and it was almost like I had an altar call. I didn't even know what that was, but John Maxwell was speaking, and I was in the back. I was kind of reluctantly at this meeting, and all of a sudden he was talking, and I was just like moving forward. My body stayed back there, but I moved, and I was like, what is this guy talking about? Leadership, personal growth, like. What is I've never heard any of this. Like, I just grew up in a blue collar, kind of grinded out family that just did. And so to level up and hear these things, I was like, man, what is this? What if I could tap into this? What if I could tap into this whole different mindset? What if I could tap into abundance? What if I could actually grow? What if the words that I speak could actually come to reality? What if I cut out negative thoughts? What if I did all these things and I started to persist without exception and do those things? Like, what could my life look like? And that old company, within 5 years, I had tripled my income at my consulting job. I was able to retire from that. Had my first 7-figure year within 8 years in that business. Had the awesome opportunity where that company completely went away in 2019, where then I got to join Modere, my wife and I, and basically have a whole new fresh start. So again, it's been 21 years of just continuing to press forward, continuing to always know that, like, if we're doing things with the right heart, with the pure intentions for people, that everything's always going to work out. But getting back to the climber here, I think one of the things is we always need to know what we're going to expect on the journey, and take inventory. And sometimes we hear these these MLM things, and it's just like all glitz and glam, and you're going to be rich, and it's so easy, and you just plug in and you do all this stuff, and I don't like that mindset at all, because I know victory without work and victory without struggle, victory without actually having to push through things is actually empty on the other side, right? Yes. Wouldn't you agree? And I think any of us how many of you are parents? I mean, don't we, if our kids are playing sports, like, we're just like, get in there, kill it, yeah, and then we're over here just like taking a nap on the couch, like not doing any of those, you're just like, hold on, like, why am I saying that to my kids, and then I'm over here hitting the snooze button in life? And that's what I felt like when I said yes to this business. I was like, no, I'm actually going to shift. I want my kids to look up to me and go like, my dad is the best. My dad is my hero. I see my parents, our kids see us working, putting in the time, and continuing to press forward into things, and to give back and be, doers of life. And that's what we want so much. So I think when you start to go up the journey, nobody goes hiking up like Mount Rainier in Washington State. You don't hike Mount Rainier with just a t-shirt and no water, right? Like, you expect adversity, right? So I think to give yourself a leadership, checkup from the neck up, is this business is going to be work, right? Nobody's saying that it's going to be simple. And I think sometimes, I wrote down some things like resistance is good. Breakdown is actually healthy. Breaking down muscle. Like, I love that Modere is actually shifting into this true transformation of the body, because the products that we're coming out with right now, like, you literally can become a walking billboard, where every single person that meets you, they're just like, well, damn, I know this stuff works. I mean, it's so just when you think about that, to understand that you literally have this ability to be such a controllable, where people will see you and start to talk to you. I mean, you can't say no to Margie, right? I mean, she understands that she's controlling all the controllables. So even the skinny guy's just like, well, lady, yeah, I want that. I don't even know what the weight loss stuff. Yeah, And so again, we have the power to be controlling the controllables. And then the other thing is pruning is necessary. And pruning things out of our life that no longer feed us, that no longer are giving us what we want. And sometimes it feels at first you're just like, oh, I don't want that. But remember, the best wine grapes, because we were in Europe and we traveled all the way through, the best wine grapes, they grow with no irrigation, and they prune off all the good vines because they want the grape to get all the best nutrients. And these wine grapes, they have to dig down in these deep arid soil, and they basically have to survive, but that produces the absolute best. And that's sometimes you want to be like, oh, I just want it easier. And Jim Rohn always says no, you want to become better. You want to become stronger. You want to become a better leader. You want to lead yourself, right? And so the burn downs create like rich soil. In nature, when things get burned down, and that creates that fertile soil. So sometimes it's okay. Like this weekend, I would just encourage you, just like Margie said, is like really prune some things in your life. Where do you really want to go? What is your purpose? And start to analyze and go, you know what, this is not feeding me. And some of them are like, I'm just going to cut that out for 90 days. Some of them are like, you know what, I don't need this ever. Like to me, if you are not designing your life and you don't have the life that you want, and you have a Netflix subscription, to me, I'm just kind of like, that's a strange thing to me. Like I loved football and sports, and this is how the man mind works, so maybe there's more ladies in here, but like I was still playing kids sports as a 20-something-year-old, thinking that I was gonna be the shortstop for the Mariners because I was really good on my softball team. I was like, man, I'm really good. And all these guys want me to come play on their teams. It's softball, but I'm sure, like if I just play more and just go away from my family, I'm sure and then I played college volleyball, so I would go play in volleyball tournaments all day. And I was like, why am I broke and I never seem to have any time? And I was like, oh, because I'm spending all this time on the glory of Wayne when I'm like a 20-something-year-old and I have kids and I should be actually. So I had to like analyze, like, what do I really want in my life? Even though some of these things I like to do and they're fun and they're competitive outlets, I had to trim all those things down because I was like, this is not getting me and my family where I want it to be. So again, like watching certain TV shows or binging, like when I see people post like, hey, what's the next show I should binge? I'm like, hey, do you have any credit card debt? Let me show you something you should watch. How to do Modair. Like how to get out of debt. Like listen to this podcast. And so it's just reality, right? We're actually having a family talk that we talk with our kids. So just pretend I'm your dad, and I'm just telling my kids how we're going to break through and they're going to go to the next level, okay? So we're on this climb. And I think the other thing is important to know, like, what persistence is not, okay? You've heard this, the thing is, doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result is the definition of, right? So again, we have to look at our life and go, wait, here I am, it's September 2024. Am I in the exact same financial position, physical, mental, that I was in September of 2023? Pretty much. Okay, what do I need to prune? What is taking my energy, my life, my resources? I am good, I am the best wine. You are the best vine. Like the vine dresser wants to prune you to give you everything that you need, but if you have all these other branches tangled up and into all these other things, it's draining you. And so again, tonight's leadership, we're going to teach you how to make a bunch of money tomorrow, but you can have a bunch of money and still lose it all. Look at all the professional athletes. Look at all the child actors. Look at all the people that have it quickly and then it goes away. Money has wings unless you have wisdom. Money has wings unless you have wisdom. So we need to seek wisdom first. We need to start to become the person that we want. I'm going to talk about, I don't want to get into tomorrow's talk. Just wait, that was a preview for tomorrow's talk. Get ready, okay? And we need to be prepared to have that because then we can keep it, we can multiply it, we can grow it. And so persistence is not just ramming your head up against the wall, doing the same thing, right? With the same, like, okay, I have the same 2 hours every week, but I'm just doing the same thing. And sometimes it's because we're not teachable. And that's why you want to have a good mentor. You want to check in. Like, I have one of my really great friends. He's just crushed this business. He hasn't done Modair. He's doing Modair now. I mean, he did it a little bit, but he's a winner and a leader. And I told Bethany the other day, I said, you know, it's interesting. He's the only one in the last 2 days that sent me his full goal list of what he's going to do in the next 90 days. Wow. I said, I should have taken a picture of it because I was like, it's amazing. Like, people that know how to win, they just know how to win because they know how to map it out. And he was like, hey, here's exactly what I'm going to do. Here's the team that I'm building. This is how many points I'm going to have. This is the inputs I'm going to have. And so here's the thing. If that just blew your mind, then I know your leader is going, please talk to me about that. I will walk you through that. So right now, if we're helping you or if you need my help too, just say, hey, how do I develop a roadmap for my goals? What do I need to do? Like, we're all in this together, and Michelle talked about it, Margie's talking about it, you're gonna hear it tomorrow, but you gotta map it out. So again, so that this next 90 days, this fourth quarter of 2024, that I think is gonna be the greatest quarter in Modere history that's gonna set up 2025, isn't a repeat of last fall, right? Because we're doing different inputs. And there's an important thing in this business, it's called the ratio of results. Meaning, so persistence isn't just like going and talking to 25 people and just saying, hey, have you heard about GLP-1? Let me sample you this, and I'm gonna get you in this group, and just, because some people can be so robotic. But here's the thing, if you talk to 25 people and 25 people aren't interested, then it's mirror time to be like, what am I saying? Am I weird? Like, am I saying something wrong? Like, I was just always really hard on myself to be like, hold on, I've talked to 20 people and I am not getting the response. It's obviously me. Because if Margie was with me, she would have got half of them to buy, right? And so I'm like, well, how do I need to change to win friends and influence people? I tell this to people all the time. I'm like, hey, have you ever read the first chapter of How to Win Friends and Influence People? It'll liberate your life. And a lot of people are like, no, I've never read that. And then they go off and do more stuff. They're being persistent, and then they come back. And I'm like, did you ever read that first chapter? How to Win Friends and Influence People? Just write that down tonight. That might be just a little, go find that chapter. It's free online as a PDF tonight. And people want to buy from people that they know, like, and trust. And so there's these little things that, again, so persistence isn't just to continue to just ram the same thing, do the same thing over and over. They say that practice does not make perfect. You ever heard that? Practice does not make perfect. Perfect practice with like a coach makes perfect, right? That's why all the most elite athletes actually have coaches. It's interesting. You're like, man, that dude can like dunk on me 17 times. Like, he's got a coach. Like, what's that guy need to coach? But he actually is smart. He understands. The coaches and the people that are helping them see things that they do not see. So again, don't just be persistent to be persistent. You got to be persistent with wisdom, persistent with a coach, and go back and analyze. Like, I tell people all the time, like, the person that we can help the most, so this is a leader, and then if you're being led, like, I tell people, if you're like a Labrador Retriever, the dog, Labrador Retriever, they like to fetch things. So as a leader, I take the little ball, this is like what I want my new guy to do, and I say, here's the things I want you to do today. Go fetch, boy. Go get it. Bring it back and report in. Tell me how today went. And I'm telling you, if you're working with someone, getting help with someone, if you do that for the next 30 days, like, you ask your leader and say, hey, what should I do today? Go do it. Check in with them at the end of the day. You're going to be their favorite student. I'm telling you, just trust me and watch what happens to your business over the next 30 days by having that accountability. Because here's the thing. Accountability is so powerful, but most people run from it. And most people they're not persistent because they just don't want to be called out. And so if you can be willing to be completely coachable and be like, hey, I want this so bad. Like, I want this like, hey, listen, I want this like air. I want to make this happen. Like, tell me whatever it takes, and I'm ready to move forward. So the other reasons, people are not disciplined. People don't follow a schedule. My wife's number one thing, she was a teacher. She was a single mom at one point, got a master's degree. Like, she was just moving, and I was just like, dang, I better marry this girl before she becomes like the, president's wife or something. So I was like, hold on. I got to hold on to But she's the most disciplined, scheduled, runs our whole organization from managing all those things. But the number one thing that people struggle with is they never set a schedule for their life. And if you can set a schedule, you're going to start to understand, like, hey, these are my green times. These are my yellow times. These are my red non-negotiable times. And you'll have such an amazing family balance if you really block things out. And again, when I'm going, I'm really bad at this because I want everything to be Modere green time. Yep, let's talk. Yep, let's go. Let's do it. Let's do it, And that does not, make for good family balance, for family life. And so that's why it takes a partner, it takes others, but you got to really map out your schedule. And here's, the other thing around not being persistent is, we have to change. We heard about that earlier. One of the things, I'm going to tell just a quick story is, I was a professional quitter. Like, no joke. Like, I had to, one of the biggest things that I had to work on in myself was the propensity to want to quit. And the reason is growing up in sports, I wasn't a freak athlete, but I could always figure out or do things in sports where I could just excel. And so I kind of always got the ball. I would always be like, oh, you do this. And when you do that in sports and you're kind of coddled and you kind of go have things happen where you could kind of just physically take care of things, eventually you forget how to work. And then when things get hard, you're like, well, this is too hard. I'm going to quit. And so so maybe any of you that you can't relate to this, but when I got into high school, I was a year younger than my class. We moved. I never went to fourth grade, you guys, because my parents moved so much. And this isn't a sob story. This is a real story. But I never went to fourth grade because we moved schools 3 times. And then when I got to the next school, they were like, he just seems like he should be in 5th grade. And my parents were like, oh yeah, put him into 5th grade. So I got to high school. So up till that point, I was super tiny. And I started playing football. I became like a rag doll. I didn't like football. I was like, and I ended up quitting football. But all the guys I played with, they stayed and played. And we ended up winning the state championship my junior year. I say we because I went to the school and cheered. Hey, yay, guys. But I quit. And I remember my friends were like, Wayne, hey, remember when we won the state championship? And I was like, yeah. And they're like, remember how you quit? Yeah. And I was like, oh. And then if it wasn't good enough for me, I also played baseball. And by the time my senior year, I was like, I'm really tired of baseball. I'm going to quit. And our team's terrible anyways. I had a negative attitude and I was a quitter. Guess what? I am not kidding you. My high school team won the first league title in 20 years. They're like, Wayne, it's like when you quit, we win. And I was just like, oh my. So needless to say, as I got into life, I was like, okay, this is getting hard, I quit. Okay, this is getting hard, I quit. And so when I started in this business, I had success at the beginning because just some of my natural talent, my natural ability started to get me wins. And then all of a sudden I hit this roadblock and I was like, I kind of want to quit. I'm actually making pretty good income as an IT consultant. It's not that bad being on an airplane all the time. I have an expense account. I can just eat and do stuff like that and get, and I was borderline about to quit. I even went to this event in 2004 where the event before I had 30 people there. And the next event, going to the event, it was in Nashville, Tennessee. I always call it my Nashville moment because by the time the event was about to happen, 2 people were going with me. One was my mom. Yay, mom. She'd go anywhere with me. She birthed me. She's like, I'm with you, buddy. And I'm like, this doesn't even count. My mom, that's And then this other gal went because she loved one of the special guest speakers. And I was like, no, you should be there for you. We're building a business here. Who are we talking? And she was just like, oh, I just love it. That guy is such a great speaker. And I'm like, you don't get it. What? So I go, and I literally was about to quit. I was like, okay, direct sales is not for me. This is actually really hard. It seems like I'm going to have to read a book or something. They keep saying read a book. And I'm like, I hate books. What are you talking? I don't want to read a book. And then my mentor at the time was just like, Wayne, one thing I hate is quitters. If you ever quit on me, I'll still love you, but I just hate quitters. And he said that to me, and I was just like, I had the quitter moment of I can't quit. He's going to drive to Seattle, cement my feet in cement shoes, and throw me in Lake Washington. I feel like I'm in the MLM mafia now. So I end up going, but here's the crazy part of the story. I decide, I'm sitting in my office, I just remember I was just in this chair, and there was actually the comp plan behind me written up, with all these good notes, get to here, this is your income, and I was just rocking, looking at it, and I was like, I'm gonna go, I'm not quitting. I'm not kidding. The next day, I get a random call from this gal that was like, hey, do you know this Brenda? I don't remember her last name, but she's just like, I just met that gal, and she said she lost 40 pounds from the products that you sell. And I was like, she did? And she's like, yeah. She's like, she had liposuction. And I was just like, oh, yeah, that's our stuff. And I'm like, Brenda, who's that? I was like, oh, that's that random chocolate store owner that I sold product to. I was like, I didn't even follow up with her. I'm like, this has to be God. There's no way this lady lost 40 pounds. So this lady's like, hey, I want to sign up. And my husband, he he looked it all over. He was looking at the magazine, and is there like a business with this too? And I was just like, are you kidding me? End up, no joke. It was like I made that decision. They show up out of the woodwork. Like that leg of business is still paying us 20 years later. Wow. It's Sam Saget is in that organization from that couple. So if anyone knows who Sam Saget is, and I'm telling you, it's like these little decisions to persist without exception. Because again, I could have just gone into this automatic default of, okay, it's hard. Obviously, that's a sign. Hard means stop. Hard means quit. Like, that's literally what I thought. But I'm telling you, like, hard means go, especially when you know what you know. Hard means go when you know what you know and you've seen what we have here. And every single person in here has a story of being hard. You know, my wife was widowed with 2 kids. I went through a disaster of a divorce, about 12 years ago. Like, we've been through all sorts of things that have been so hard, but it's always sticking to the truth of like, hey, here's what I know is true. Here's the controllables I can do. I'm going to persist without exception to continue on the mission that God has called me to. And that's the reward of persistence, is just victory. Even the small things. I want you to just know that, you're going to come out of here and I don't want to get all preachy, but let me just, there's a saying that Jesus says in the Bible. He says, John 16:33, he says, I've told you these things so that you will have peace. And so, like, the world is hard. Like, he was like, I'm telling you all this stuff, you'll have peace, but in this world you will have trouble, but I have overcome the world. Now, you don't have to believe what I believe, but I'm telling you, everybody knows in this world we will have trouble. But if you get around the right environment, around the right people, around the systems that we have, like, we are overcomers. We are people that pursue and we persist and we move forward and we continue to go. And I'm telling you, like, Bethany and I would not be here. Like, we have other things that we would for sure do with our lives, and we've built a financial fortress around our lives, thankfully, because of this business, where we can withstand major storms financially. But we're here because we see so much more. Like, we're still here, and we love everyone that has continued to move forward, because just like Margie said, that like the 5 times, I just know deep in my bones, like Bethany and I talk about all the time, deep in our bones, we're just like, man, this is like one of those moments. This is like a moment that we're going to look back and we're going to just be like, man, do you remember this room? Like, remember who was there? Like, I remember every person. Like, this is a moment that we will never forget. But guess what? It requires massive persistence, because there's going to be adversity. There's going to be obstacles. And again, just know that it's all intended to grow you and develop you to be the best version of yourself. Muscle grows because it's been broken down. You don't grow any muscle. I mean, that's one of the, coaching women in fitness. So here, we're going to launch a product tomorrow, ladies. And don't go, now I'm worried about growing some muscle. Like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to get too big and bulky, okay? So you will not, like, the only way you do that is by lifting and working out. This product is going to be a shredder. We're not even talking about it as much as the GLP one, but when you guys see the other product that's paired with it, good night. Like, we had something like this in our old company. Oh, it was delicious. It like melted fat like butter. It was amazing. So just get ready. Like, we're like, the GLP-1 one is amazing, but when we pair this other one with it, because I say this because for 5.5 years when we came to Modere, I was like, can we make a formula exactly like this? And they're like, sure, one day. And I was like, no, we need this, like yesterday. And finally, Nate Frazier was just like, why don't we have this? Yes, let's get this. These guys can sell this. So again, like, you guys, it's like the best is yet to come that we don't even know is yet to come, it's like the tip of the iceberg. We don't even know what is coming. It's going to be so, so amazing. And here's the last things. I want you to really understand, like, how do I unlock a persistent mindset? Well, one is it's an absolute commitment and a belief. And hopefully, if you don't have the same belief that we do, just borrow ours for the next 90 days. Like we said, stay close to the believers, like the fire. Like, we are on fire. Like, You talk to us, you look me in the eye, I have certainty for days. I just believe into the future where we're going to be. I just believe we're going to be double in this month. This is the best month of 2024. And so you've got to have the commitment and the belief, but then we also have to do the work, right? We got to do the work on the back end. And so, again, some of us, we need to write down belief cards. Have you ever written down belief cards? This is something, anyone ever read Napoleon Hill? Think and Grow Rich? Show me by hands. Come on, help me. Okay, we need more of us doing this. Like, there are things in that book. He talks about writing down belief cards. So again, if your belief is struggling, your mindset is struggling, write down on a note card. You could do it tonight. Write down 5 things that you need to start really believing in about yourself or about this business. We need to have absolute belief and clarity of what is possible here, because that belief just becomes a vibration. It's a confidence. People you get around my wife, she believes more than me for things. Sometimes I'll be saying something and she's like, what? And then I'm just like, nothing. And she's just like, did you just say something negative, or were you saying something? And she's just like, I believe for this. And sometimes I'm just like, okay, that's crazy talk. And I'm like, but I've learned. I'm like, nope, I'm believing for it. I'm believing for it. And again, it's just, you got to get around these people that continue to stretch you. So find those people that are going to stretch you. Find those people that are going to work it. And again, we just have this, we call our team walking in victory, because we don't want it about any one person. We just want people to understand that victory is certain. During World War II, Winston Churchill, they posted up all over London, victory is certain, victory is certain. And if you know the history of that, they were literally getting annihilated every night by bombers from Germany. They were going to be speaking German in like 2 days. And he's putting up, victory is certain, victory is certain. And all around it, victory looks certain for the Germans, right? And here's the thing, but that belief, that starts to grow, that starts to go. And so I want you to start saying, like, what I'm doing in Modere, victory is certain. Victory for my family, victory for my team, victory in life. I am going to rise up and I'm going to help so many people win in this business. And victory is certain because I'm willing to persist without exception until that happens. There's another great story. Okay, I've got 90 minutes left, they said, so I got a few more stories. No. But have you ever heard the story? I'm going to tell a couple more stories and then we're going to wrap it up. They're flashing me. They're like, you're done, Wayne. No, I'm not. I'm not done yet. Okay. The products don't even launch till tomorrow. Okay. Have you ever heard the story of Cortez going to get the gold in Central America? This is, everyone had heard about the, mythical gold of the Aztecs, right? And so people would go there with their ships and be like, hey, we want to go get this gold, take it back to Spain, make it happen. They would go, get in a skirmish, get in a fight, then they would retreat and go back. But Cortez was like, I have a new strategy. We're going to go, and when we get there, we're going to burn our boats. And so all of our men, they realize we're either going to get the gold or we're going to die. But we're getting the gold, and we're going to use their wood to build our boats to go home. And guess what happened? They get there, they burn the boats. Do you think the guys fought harder? Do you think the guys really wanted to win? And it was all about their purpose and their mindset. Now, that's an extreme case, right? But it's a mindset of you have to burn the boats of things in your life where it's your escape hatch. Like, what are some of the escape hatches that you're like, okay, like I said, I was like, I should just quit this because I could just go be like a chief nerd officer over here and probably make good money, be gone from my family all the time. And I live in Seattle, so I could get some stock options and, maybe do like some of my other friends. And like, that sounds cozy and comfortable. I could probably do that. But then I was like, no, I have to burn that boat. So I was like, I'm quitting this job and I'm going to go work over here at a less paying job so I could put more time into my business. So I just looked at every single thing in my life that I was like, what boat do I need to burn in order to be streamlined and be like, I am not going back. That life back there, I am not going back to that. I'm burning everything that could let me go back to that for this season or forever. But the funny thing is a lot of things that I gave up then, I don't even care about anymore. You know, I used to have Seattle Seahawks tickets. Woo, oh yeah, go. And people are like, you're giving up your Seahawks tickets? And I'm like, I don't want to spend a whole Sunday away. And guess who got to go to the Super Bowl when they won? None of my friends. They didn't have any money, but I was like, oh, Super Bowl tickets, first class airfare? Sure, I'll go. I went. You know, so again, you give up a little bit now in order to have everything you want later. It's always about delayed gratification. Give up a little bit now, sacrifice a little bit now, prune a little bit now, put your head down for the next 90 days now, and you can have so much later. And the last thing, let's end with this. Why don't you guys stand up? We're going to have some audience interaction. So, you know, out in the Rocky Mountains, there's these massive storms that come over the Rockies. Huge Rocky Mountain storms. And here's the thing. The buffalo, when they see the storms coming, they do one thing. The cows do another thing. And here's the thing. I want you all tonight to decide that we're all buffalo. Because here's the thing. So I want you to just lean forward into your purpose here. Now, the next 90 days, don't tip over the tables. The next 90 days, the storm is coming, but here's the thing. The buffalo, they know when the storm is coming, they turn into the storm and they look and they go, I am going to run straight towards that. Because when I run straight towards it, I move through it faster and I get to the other side. Cows, on the other hand, they see the storm, they turn terrified, and they run the other way. And how many times in our lives do we make these default automatic decisions like, oh no, this happened last time, this is what, oh, okay. It's almost like, it's like a deep rut of like the Pioneer Trails where like you literally can't get out of it because every time that something happens, you automatically go into that rut and your automatic response is this. And that's what the cows do. They turn and they run away from the storm, and guess what? They stay in the storm for like a day. And the buffalo, they turn and they run right towards it. And they're through it in like 30 minutes. And so here's what I want you to do tonight, this weekend, whatever it is, I want you to think like the buffalo. Think that you are someone that are going to run towards things. You see the prize. We have the greatest product launch I think we've ever had. Like I've been doing this. It's hard to get someone excited after 22 years about these things. Wouldn't you say, Margie? Like, yeah, it's like we've seen a lot, but I am like so fired up to be like a buffalo and charge towards this. And anything that comes in my way, I'm going to say, you know what? If I just go towards it, if I head it on, if I have that conversation, if I break through, if I just go into it, it's going to move me through it even faster. Guess what? There might be another storm. You continue. There's always a new devil at another level. So, you always got to know that every time you run through something, there's going to be something else on the other side that's going to level you up. Because again, the greater the leadership, the more equipping, the more leveling up you have to do. So let's run towards it today, tonight. We're excited to be here with you guys. Reach out to us any way we can help you, and let's rock tomorrow. Thanks so much.